Hello everybody and greetings from Newcastle. Actually, I'm dressed for the occasion, but the occasion I'll discover it for you later on in the video. The last part of this video will be what has been for me an extraordinary week and one that's going to finish extraordinarily as well. But first we have to talk about all the things that have happened this week, starting by Pochettino and Spurs. I wrote a blog for the BBC about what next for Pochettino after it became clear, of course, that Manchester United and Real Madrid, who went through their own little accidents, or big accidents, which meant that they had to take decisions, which right now, in the present, it looks like good decisions from the point of view that is one that everybody has agreed to, that the fans are happy with, and it felt like there was, in the case of Real Madrid, surprising but determined decision to actually bring Zidane back. In the case of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you walk the streets of Manchester and it's what the fans wanted, something like that. So that meant, of course, that Pochettino, who had been, I'm sure he'd heard the interest from both clubs, basically never started negotiating with either of them. But now you have to wonder what next for him. And I came out with the conclusion that there are three options for him. One, he remains at Spurs, and seems to me the most likely one. Not just because of the new stadium, but certainly because it's a club that not only is close to his heart, he's actually put a lot of effort in it. But I also looked closely to the stats and the situation of the team that seems, some say stalled. For me, seems like he's going backwards. The results are good in the Champions League, they're doing great, but there's not much more that you can get from that squad. That squad that has got, in my eyes, only one player that cannot be replaced, which is Harry Kane. And what Pochettino's actually saying is that let's be brave in the market, let's actually get some of these players out and let's bring some new ones, because otherwise it will be impossible to keep progressing. As I said, some say that the team is stalled. What I see is a team that's going backwards. They know how to compete. They're doing that well, but everybody knows everybody now. That brings a little bit of contempt, and it feels like some players feel that they're better than perhaps are. A lot of things that suggest that it's impossible to come out of that dynamic unless new people are brought in. That's something that Pochettino wanted last summer. It didn't happen. It's something that is absolutely needed this summer. Option number two is that he rescinds the contract and he takes a sabbatical and rests. Why would he do that? And it's a good question, because nobody does that halfway through a contract to actually leave. And it is unlikely, but I'll tell you one reason why he could do it, which is that big clubs don't actually buy coaches from other clubs. In this case, it could cost 30 or 40 million pounds. They prefer to spend that money on players. So it would be a way of resting, gathering energy, and then getting a big job that will be available. Because, of course, as you know, he will be in that list, in that short list for any top team in Europe. Talking of which, the third option is that Inter, Juventus, and Bayern Munich, either of them eventually make the interest that they shown in him, make it actually an offer. He hasn't arrived. It hasn't happened. As I said. Clubs tend to spend 30, 40 million, if available, into players, not so much coaches. There's no guarantee that bringing Pochettino will actually increase the value of the players, that will kind of compensate for the expenditure on the coach. Yes, there is evidence that he can do that, but if things go wrong at the beginning and they have to sack him, it's actually going to cost them a lot of money. So clubs are very conservative from that point of view. I thought that this could be the summer in which somebody could actually break that barrier that I don't know why it exists between players and coaches. Coaches sometimes should cost money. In this case, as I said, 30, 40 million. But no offer yet from either of them. If they actually come and decide to go for him, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Levy, what he takes that, and what Pochettino himself does. The most likely situation is that he remains at Spurs, but changes need to be made. Let's talk about Rafael Varane, who, of course, has got a contract with Real Madrid until 2022. Buyer clause is 500 million. So whatever happens in the future is in the hands of Real Madrid. And it was L'Equipe, the first one who actually published that he wants to leave Real Madrid. I confirm that that's the case. He wants to leave Real Madrid. The problem is, as I said, that it's all in the hands of Real Madrid, who don't want to let him go. They realize to get a centre-back of his quality would be very difficult in the market. The likes of Ligt, who Barcelona wants, of course, and Barcelona favourite to get him, more on that later, basically may cost about 60, 70 million euros. So Real Madrid don't want to spend that when actually they have a player in the squad that is that valued at that kind of price, and Zinedine Zidane likes him to stay. So now they're going to go to Varane and say, look, you earn 5 million net, we're going to offer you 9 million net. It's almost double. It puts it as one of the most expensive or with the biggest wages at the club, and they hope to convince him. So despite the fact that clubs all over Europe are interested in him, and yes, Manchester United inquired about him a year ago, well, now they may have the opportunity to actually try that again through the agent. They received the message that he wants to leave, but Real Madrid don't want to let him go. Real Madrid, who's actually trying to reinforce the squad. Zidane doesn't want a big overhaul. He just wants 3 or 4 top players to come into the lineup. Important players like Hazard, Eriksen, Rabiot is another one that he's interested in. Of course, he finishes his contract at the end of the season. Everybody knows the conditions. He wants about 50 million gross, which is a lot of money, and 10 million euro for his agent, which is his mother. Now, Le Parisien, I think it is, has come out with the story that Rabiot and Real Madrid have agreed terms that Real Madrid is willing to pay all that. Real Madrid are conscious, though, that he will have other offers and he's talking to other clubs. So it doesn't mean that everything has been agreed and everything will happen. But Real Madrid have sent the message to Rabiot that they don't want to negotiate that. That's it. It's the agreement. He's got to come back soon saying, yes, we accept that, because Real Madrid are willing to pay what he demands. So that's where we stand. Zidane is a big fan and would like somebody like Rabiot to complement Modric. And I think Kroos will be for sale. As with all these things, doesn't mean that he will go, but it means that Real Madrid are willing to let him go. Few things before I tell you about my week that you may be interested in. We were talking about the Ligt. It's been linked to Manchester City. I can tell you that Manchester City don't want the Ligt. Manchester City feel that Barcelona are at the forefront of that situation, that they're willing to pay the 60, 70 million euros that Ajax want to receive for him. Ajax don't want to do an auction for him. Whatever he wants to go, he will go. And the Ligt hasn't taken the decision, but is very, very tempted by Barcelona. Not the only club that want him. Bayern Munich is another one that they want him, and PSG as well. But at the moment, Barcelona are very confident that the Ligt will go to Barcelona. We'll see. In any case, City don't want him. Talking about Barcelona, as I said to you, Ligt and Jovic is the one that they want. More of a 9 that will accept his situation, won't always play, but they will prepare him to replace Luis Suarez in certain games, and eventually in the lineup when Luis Suarez cannot continue at this level anymore. Now, Ligt and Jovic, there's a big gap between what Eintracht Frankfurt wants and what Barcelona want. And it's about 40 million euros difference. 40 million is what Barcelona are offering. 80 million is what Eintracht Frankfurt want. They will have to meet in the middle, not the only team that want him. I think 50 million, 60 million will probably take him, but that's where negotiations are at the moment. Finally, let me tell you about my week. I wrote about Lauren, the former Invincible Arsenal player, in one BBC interview that I did with him, the video of which will be in the summer in my YouTube channel. And what a story. He told me about his aristocrat mother that had to live with him Guinea and rush away, eventually ended up in Sevilla. She had to clean houses and find food for a lot of brothers and sisters. About 15 at some point were living together under 2 roofs and the 2 flats, and mom was the only one providing for them. And Lauren asked for a trial with Sevilla, to the kit man of Sevilla, who one day managed to cross paths with, and the rest is history. But the details of that is fantastic. Somebody that has overcome so much in his life. It was great to hear from him, a good friend of mine, and a great story to hear as well. Talking about overcoming obstacles, Chris Smalling was presented as a patron of Football Beyond Borders. As you know, I'm also a patron of Football Beyond Borders, have been since 2014. It's a fantastic thing they're doing, trying to help kids to understand themselves a little bit better via football, and to use football as a way to improve their lives. Chris Smalling understood that from day one, wants to help them settle in and grow in the Northwest, and he presented his patronage yesterday in an event that had Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Phil Jones, Matic and Mike Keane and Kieran McKenna as well were present, and all of them were so generous with the time, and it was great to hear why Chris wants to do this football Beyond Borders. Keep an eye on it, because things will come out on the back of that. And I am in Newcastle now because I'm actually meeting Rafa Benitez for the BBC. We're going to talk about some of the most important games of his career. Not all of them victories, but Istanbul will be included. And also I thought that we did quite a good podcast for the BBC, Football Daily, of course. We talked about Patrick Kluivert, about Ajax, his career as a coach, and his son, Justin. And we also talk about Ken, Juventus and racism in Italy with Filippo Ricci. Strong words were said, but the conclusion is that they got so much to learn still in Italy, and they are in denial. It is some of the behavior from Bonucci, from the president of Cagliari, racist. It is. You have to say it like that, and people have to correct their ways. Very strong words from Filippo Ricci and everybody else in the team. We had Rory Smith and we had Steve Crossman, of course, and it was really enjoyable podcast, I felt. I hope you enjoy it too. Keep an eye on that. And that's it for now. So I'm just going to prepare myself, print the script and things that I want to talk to Rafa Benitez with, and then just head to the training ground there. I hope that you listen to that and a few other things that are going to come out in the YouTube channel. For now, see you later.